So, check this out, Facebook. Thinking of names for the wine company that I want to start. And Cobra Craft wines definitely sounds simple enough. It doesn't sound overly complicated. I could have like a double meeting. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, that's definitely a good idea. I could see that being the company name right there. It's almost 5 o'clock. That's supposedly when the eclipse is supposed to happen. Supposedly. It's like 4:43. I'm trying to roll cigarettes with these papers, and I can't seem to roll them very tight. So I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing wrong? But like anything in life, it takes practice. And the only way you're going to get better is if you start craving cigarettes. So what if I took that cigarette paper and folded it, made it a little easier to work with. And this is literally the only way you're going to get better at rolling cigarettes, Facebook, is to practice. How does anyone get better at anything, you know? Practice. And their first attempt at practicing is probably going to be laughable, to say the least. But eventually, all that practice that you do pays off. And while I'm thinking of names for my wand company, I decided to take a picture of a Victorian Second Empire and Photoshop it to have a clock tower. So it's kind of like a rough draft of what my dream house would look like. And that rough draft didn't turn out too terribly bad. And right now I just rolled a fucking cigarette with some OCB paper and a half and half tobacco. And I literally used the whole paper, but I folded it in half to make it easier to roll. And the end result is this little carrot-shaped looking thing that don't look legal, but this is definitely cheaper than buying them by the pack, that's for damn sure. But as I sat there photoshopping a Victorian Second Empire with a clock tower on it, well, it wasn't really Photoshop, it was GIMP that I used, but I'm thinking to myself, what would be a good name for my wand company? I started thinking about it, and well, Cobra's Craft is definitely a good name for it. It's double meaning, handcrafted wands, and of course, the magical craft. The double meaning works, and Cobra's Craft wands. Yeah, so just Cobra's Craft is the only name I need for it. I tried rolling the cigarette by hand and folding the paper in half. And it definitely rolled tighter, but unfortunately, I made this short ass fucking cigarette. And the fucking thing doesn't want to light. Bollocks. And sometimes if you roll it too fucking tight, you may just have to use it for pipe tobacco. But that happens. Like I said, you're not going to get good at rolling cigarettes overnight. The only thing I can do is practice. In the picture that I photo edited, it's not a complete, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not completely my dream house, but it's a rough idea of what it would look like. Just a very, 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 very rough idea. But it creates the concept of what it would look like, at least to a degree. There may be a couple of color changes, but so I fold that down just like that. And, you know, when cigarettes get to be too expensive, to the point where they're like $7 to $10 a pack, you're thinking to yourself, there's got to be a cheaper way to make cigarettes, man. They try to screw her with the smoker, and then the smoker's just like, oh, fuck you guys, I want to make cheaper cigarettes. And yeah, learning to roll by hand is definitely a lot cheaper. And the nice thing about these hemp papers is they're non-bleached, so it's a bit healthier. But Cobra's Craft wands. Cobra's Craft handcrafted wands. There we go. It's got a nice ring to it. Cobra's Craft handcrafted. Of course, the trick with rolling cigarettes is to get good enough to only roll just one paper into a cigarette, instead of relying on two papers to fix your mess. Oh, that side's trying to... And it's really just like playing guitar. You're not going to get good at it overnight, you know. You want to... At least this time around, I rolled that cigarette a little bit tighter and used only one paper. I mean, to my credit, at least I'm trying to get better at rolling these things. And using just one paper instead of two, which, you know, it saves you papers. That's a step. That's a step in the right direction, I guess. Learning to roll the cigarette with just one paper, even if it's not as tight as you'd like it to be. Oh, there we go. That one hits a lot better. I tried rolling one before and it was just shitty. And so I re-rolled it with this one, and no, seriously, you smoke cheaper cigarettes. If you force yourself to smoke cheaper cigarettes to save yourself a couple bucks, you'll learn how to roll. That's just, you know what I'm saying, Facebook. But Cobra's Craft handmade wands. That's got a nice ring to it. Sitting here fucking around with the Photoshop program that I have. It's called GIMP. It's like Photoshop and Paint Studio mixed into one program. Now, supposedly this so-called eclipse is supposed to happen at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And right now it's like 4:54 a.m. Normally I wouldn't stay up this late, but just because it's the eclipse, I won't get to see it, but I'll get to feel its energy. And I tried to make a rough image, a very, very rough image of what my dream house would look like. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be that color, obviously. There'd be a couple other things I'd change on it, but it's just a very basic, very rough, basic outline of what it would look like. And the Photoshop job that I did on that edit didn't turn out half bad. That was a wee bit time consuming, but a lot of copy, cut, and paste, but that didn't turn out half bad. Speaking of not turning out half bad, as I said before, when cigarettes get to be too expensive, you learn to roll your own cigarettes and save a couple bucks. And this one actually rolled pretty decent. I rolled one earlier. I tore the paper in half, tried doing it like that, and then double rolling it with the same piece of paper. That kind of worked, but it made a really short cigarette, and I was like, Started folding it over and rolling it a bit tighter, and this right here, Facebook, is like my best rolled cigarette to date. It's still a little loose, but it's also a lot tighter than they have been. And like I said, you're not going to get good at this kind of thing overnight, especially if you're used to rolling with those cheap ass rollers. Which those things are cool. You unhook them like a little pouch, and you hook them back into place, roll it this way, lick the paper, roll it, keep rolling it, and then unhook it. It pops out a cigarette. But those pouch rollers, the sheets on them tear, the plastic rollers break, they come loose, you know. So you gotta replace them, and it's a pain in the ass. So initially, if you want to save a little extra money, you don't want to spend a single dime on rollers, and you want to save a couple bucks buying them by the pack. You get cigarette papers and some tobacco. It's really all you need. You don't even need filters. Well, when you're rolling cigarettes, you want to use a really dry tobacco. This pipe tobacco is this half and half's kind of dry, so it works. But if you try using a super moist pipe tobacco, it soaks your paper and makes it hard to smoke. So you generally use a drier tobacco that's cut more finely. It rolls easier, but there's like a little bit of moisture in this half and half that I'm smoking on right now. And that little bit of moisture kind of helps it clump together a little bit. So I don't know. When it comes to tobacco for rolling a cigarette, half and half is about as moist as you want to go for pipe tobacco or any tobacco period. You know, so even if you can't afford a fancy ass pipe, you still want to smoke pipe tobacco, you can roll cigarettes with it. And doing your cigarettes like this ends up saving you a lot of money. And you saw that first cigarette I tried to roll on this live video, and then I tried lighting it, and it just would not light. I rolled it too tight, and yeah. So I tried it again, and this thing is smoking like a cigarette should. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Cobra's Craft handmade wands. That's a simple enough name for my wand business. It's going to take a couple months to get it set up, but when it does become a reality, by making some serious bank, I can't tell you how many times people have asked me, "Oh, do you sell wands? How much do you charge for them?" Now, just starting off, I'll be selling basic handheld wands like this one for $34. They'll have an actual leather handle and stuff, so it'll look professional. And you already know, as soon as I get my Etsy page, as soon as the Etsy page is set up, and I got a P.O. box for shipping wands to fans and shit, so that way I'm not using my address. As soon as all that's set up, you know what I'm saying, then boom, I'll be in business. It's not just my fans. You got cosplayers, Harry Potter fans, anime nerds, that sort of thing. There's a wide market for people, you know, or if you're just into collecting works of art, because that's really what these are. And after a couple months of selling these handheld ones, I'll start offering crystal wands for a much more expensive price, but yes. Oh, I'll be damned. It's 5:01. Still not 100% the greatest at rolling cigarettes, but yeah. With practice, I get better at it. And, you know, I like where I work right now, but there aren't a whole lot of places here in town that'll hire me just because I'm a well-known YouTube celebrity, and that's just being real with it. So getting the wand business on the side started is a good idea. Cobra's Craft handmade wands. That has a nice organic feel to it. It feels like something you'd hear, like going up a street in some fucking wizarding shops or some shit, you know. Like if the Harry Potter saga continued. What happened to Ollivander? Oh shit, he retired? Fuck. Who took his place? Oh, it's this guy that makes these wands. Word on the street is they're pretty good. Oh, these guys, Ollivanders. No, but the one question that's popped up, people ask, well, will you enchant the wands? Can you pay extra for that? And the answer is no and no. It doesn't do any good for me to enchant the wand when you're the one using it. But, I could try to throw together a logo and shit. But, Cobra's Craft handmade wands, and it's got this hooded cobra with a crown on his head. His tail's all coiled around like that, and then the tail kind of comes up. And then right towards the end of the tail, it circles around and points at the end, and it's like it's holding a wand at the end of its tail. All coiled up kind of like that, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm visualizing the logo, and it would look sick as shit. I mean, there's a monocled cobra that I photoshopped black and emerald green that would look cool for the logo. As a matter of fact, it's on my bloody Facebook page, now that I think of it. Let's see. I have to go to my photos to look for it. Let's see. Be cool for the logo, but let's see. There's the picture I'm looking for. That would look cool for the logo, actually. Let's go to that there. And, let's see. Yeah, I'll ship worldwide if I can. With Cobra's Craft, or Cobra Crafted, whatever the fuck I called it. Cobra's Craft handmade wands. There we go. Yeah, with Cobra's Craft wands, I will be shipping them worldwide if I can. because I know that's a greater way to reach more people, knowing as I do have fans all over the world. But I want to open up GIMP real quick and crack on this logo idea. Let's see, and GIMP combines Photoshop and Paint Studio in one program. Basically, it's it's a nifty little program. It works for basic shit. It's not real high tech or nothing or super fancy, but it gets the job done. Now I made this KingCobraJFS fan art deal with this black and green monocled cobra, and the monocle's black and green on the back of his hood, and it looks cool as shit. And it would make an excellent little mascot deal. Have like two wands crisscrossing in the same fucking image. I mean, after photoshopping a Victorian Second Empire to have a clock tower on it, this shouldn't be too difficult. And take the KingCobraJFS poster that I made a while back, and you can cut the cobra out of the picture and paste it onto a new canvas. Okay, so where's the tool that I need? There it is. So if you're just tuning in, earlier I cleaned off my workbench, which it wasn't that bad to begin with, but it didn't hurt to clean it off nonetheless. And now I'm going to design a quick logo, just something that'll look cool for the for my company. I messed up cutting it out. Hold on a second. There we go. This tool is a little bit easier for cutting stuff out of a picture. I'm sure watching me sit here watching me design a logo for Cobra Custom or a Cobra Craft ones, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, watching me make this is probably not going to be very entertaining. I'm warning you right now, but I digress. It's progress towards something awesome, so at least it's, you know, why the fuck? It's, don't know why it's, don't know why it's, oh, I just try it again. Nope, undo cut. I just have to do the fucking lasso tool real quick. Messed up on that cutout. Let's try it again. Like you get just the right angle on it. And go to cut. New. Make the canvas a little bit taller. Okay. Paste. Beautiful. Sky changes. But yeah, I can design a quick logo for it, so it's not going to be anything permanent, but I'll go into here, on the interwebs. So you have like a picture of two wands crisscrossing like that for it to, you know. I might not do that. Just probably add like a font to it or something, because yeah, I'll just add a font to it and upload it to Facebook as an idea. Let's see. What is that? COERA. COERA. KobraCraft wands. KobraCraft actually. And maybe. Give it a little bit of spacing here. I changed the font on that logo there because I got a font I could use that would look really good for that. Let's see. The question remains. Can I find the fonts button? Because GIMP's been acting a little funky, but that's what you get for a free program, I suppose. A bunch of cool fonts downloaded, and they're not showing up. Because I already used GIMP to make that freaking, whatchamacallit. That Photoshop of that Victorian house, and So it could be running funky because I spent a good grip working on that photoshopped house, but which I can do all that later. I don't have to do a logo right now. But the idea for the company name, that seems to work out nicely, I think. It's got a nice simple ring to it. It's not overly fancy. KobraCraft handmade wands. And if I want to be fancier with it, I could say KobraCraft handmade mystical wands, but that's a bit much. In either way, shape it's a good start. Coming up with a name, getting your workspace organized and cleaned, and getting a price point set. I mean, $34 for a basic handheld wand to start off with for a couple months, until it really takes off. And then if the wands are really selling, then I could look into doing fancier ones for a little bit more expensive. But needless to say, Facebook, if I give GIMP some time to rest up a bit, I could do a logo for the company. But meantime, coming up with a name, getting a price point, that sort of thing. But yeah. My hand-rolled cigarettes are getting better and better. That way I'm not having to rely on a freaking roller. I could just, you know what I'm saying? But now how long is it going to take to get Cobra's craft set up? It'd take a hot minute, but once it gets going, this could be something that a lot of people get into, and instantly they're just like, yo. Of course, you know what happens when you try to roll pipe tobacco into a cigarette. If the pipe tobacco is too moist, it makes the cigarette virtually impossible to smoke, but this half and half is just dry enough to where you can roll a cigarette with it pretty easily.